Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Sri Srimad Bhakti Vedanta Narayana Iti Namine Prema Bhakti Rasanandam Kripa Sindhu Mamaninam Pragyapayantam Vande Sri Bhakti Vedanta Narayanam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratviche Namaha. So today we are continuing, and I believe we'll be able to cover three verses, 14, 15, and 16 of Sri Brahma Samhita. Pratyandameva mekam shad vishati svayam sahasramurdha vishvatma mahavishnu sanatanaha. This Mahavishnu entered into every individual universe as his individual plenary portions, each of which is complete with all his mystic opulences. In other words, within each universe, Mahavishnu assumes the form of the universal soul with thousands upon thousands of heads. Translation of the Tika by Srila Jiva Goswami. So what we're continuing here is from last week. We were talking about Mahavishnu, whose every breath has in his exhalation, all of the universes are coming out of the pores of his skin, and they exist in the form of golden eggs in a seed form, and then they come out and they expand as universes. Now, this is describing what happens with those individual millions and billions of universes. Mahavishnu then enters into those billions of universes in separate individual forms of Vishnu, who are called Garabodakashayi Vishnu. The meaning of Ekam Shat is that an individual plenary portion of Mahavishnu enters each womb-like universe. So the universes are being compared to a womb, and that is exactly appropriate. A womb is a place where life is cultivated and life begins, and Mahavishnu enters through his plenary portion as Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. Tatparya by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The Mahavishnu who lies down in the causal ocean is a plenary portion of Mahasankarshan. Remember, that is the Mahasankarshan is from the second Chaturvyuha, who comes from Narayan. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. That Mahasankarshan, from that Mahasankarshan comes Mahavishnu. In the form of his individual plenary portions, he personally enters into each of the universes that are manifested from him. Every one of those plenary portions is directly Vishnu, and they are similar to Mahavishnu in every respect. Each Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is the aggregate feature of all forms of the indwelling witness. So this is actually a very simple statement, and you've all heard this before. So first of all, Garbhodakashayi Vishnu is a plenary portion of Mahavishnu, but is identical in all respects. So this is actually described in Sri Brahma Samhita later. That Deeparchit eva hitashantaram abhyupeta deepayate virittahetu samana dharma. Just as there's one candle flame and that candle flame is used to light many different candle flames, but each candle flame has the same flame qualities, the same brilliance, and the same ability to give light and heat, but still one is the first, another is the second, and another is the third. Similarly, all of the Vishnu forms each have the qualities of being God. And there is nothing less because Om Purnam Adaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. That supreme person is that complete person from whom so many complete persons come, but he still remains complete. He is full. So this our mundane calculation of if I have 5 apples and I take away 1 apple, now I only have 4 apples. This doesn't work. It doesn't apply to Bhagavan. Now, what does it mean when we say that each Garbhodakashaya Vishnu is the aggregate feature of all forms of the indwelling witness? So the indwelling witness is Paramatma. Dwal Suparna Sayuja Sakaya. There are 2 birds, according to Kata Upanishad. 2 birds are sitting on the same branch of the tree. The tree is the body, that branch of the tree is the heart. One is the Paramatma, the super soul, who is the witness, the Upadrashta and Anumanta, the overseer and the permitter. The other one is the Jivatma, the living entity, is the bird who is struggling to enjoy the fruits of the tree, squawking and flapping its wings and really trying really hard to enjoy as much as it can. But it is the super soul who is quietly waiting there, quietly, patiently waiting to give advice, to give guidance, to give help as the indwelling witness. So each Garbhodakshaya Vishnu is the aggregate feature of all forms. So he is the like the super soul for all living entities in the universe. So he is like the super soul of the universe, one can say. That's really pretty simple. Aggregate feature of all forms of the indwelling witness or super soul. So let's move on to the next verse. Any questions, you can also put them in chat or you can save them up for the end. No problem. Verse 15. Vamangat asrajad Vishnum Dakshinangat Prajapatim Jyotirlingamayam Shambhum Purchadeshadavasrajat. That Mahavishnu created Vishnu from his left side, Prajapati from his right side, and Shambhu in the form of an effulgent linga from between his eyebrows. So, Tika by Srila Jiva Goswami. What did Sri Mahavishnu do next? In answer to this question, it is stated, Vamangat, he manifested Vishnu from his left side, Prajapati from his right side, and Shambhu from between his eyebrows. Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, and Mahesh is the destroyer of all the universes. The form of Sri Vishnu in each universe directs his own expansions in the form of Brahma and Shiva, and as a result of this impetus, Brahma is absorbed in the task of creation, and Mahesh is absorbed in the task of annihilation. Now, there's an important distinction that is going to be made here, and it can be just a little bit confusing. So, pay attention. So, we're talking about Mahavishnu, and from Mahavishnu has come Vishnu from his left side, Prajapati from his right side, and Shambhu in the form of the linga from between his eyebrows. In this context, one should understand the term Prajapati or primal progenitor to mean Hiranyagarbha, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. In some places, the four-headed Brahma has also been referred to as the Prajapati. But in this context, Prajapati does not refer to Brahma with four faces. This Hiranyagarbha Purusha creates the predominating deities within the shell of each universe. Vishnu and Shambhu are also the maintainer and destroyer, respectively, of their universes. So we have Mahavishnu, from whom comes Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Garbhodakshai Vishnu enters in within each universe. And furthermore, the Prajapati, Hiranyagarbha Purusha, this is the form of Mahavishnu, which the form of Garbhodakshai Vishnu, which Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will now explain in his Tatparya. Shambhu has come from the area between the eyebrows of Mahavishnu. The place of Mahavishnu is the water covering, which is considered to be his residence. So now Shambhu is that personality who has come directly from between the eyebrows of Mahavishnu in the form of the linga, the form of the Shiva linga, which is worshipped. That is the form of Shambhu. And Shambhu is the root of the Shiva Tattva and Rudra Tattva. So we also use the term Shambhu Tattva, and later we will also talk more in depth about Shambhu Tattva. So here is the Tatparya of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the indwelling witness of the individual living entity, whereas Garbhodakshai Vishnu is the indwelling witness of the aggregate of living entities. So remember, Dwasuparna Sayujasakaya. There are the two birds sitting on the tree in that branch, which is the heart, and the jiva and the paramatma. So Kshirodakshai Vishnu is the Paramatma. Now, Kshirodakshai Vishnu also resides in the ocean of milk within the universe. So if you remember, when it was time for Krishna to appear, and Mother Bhumi went crying in the form of a cow to Brahmaji, and she said, I am being tormented. So many demons in the form of kings are trampling upon my surface. They are causing me so much distress. Please do something. And Brahmaji went with all of the Devatas and Mother Bhumi to the shores of the ocean of milk, which is a Vaikuntha planet within this universe. And there they offered prayers via Purusha Sukta, Hari Om Sahasrasisha Purushaha Sahasraksha Sahasrapad Sabhumim Vishvato Vritva Titishta Dashangulam. They offered the Purusha Sukta prayers to Kshirodakshai Vishnu. And Kshirodakshai Vishnu sent a transmission to the heart of Brahma. Tell the Devas they should take birth in the Yadu dynasty. I shall very soon advent myself on this earth. And of course, Devatas and Mother Bhumi were very happy to hear this. So the primal progenitor is Hiranyagarbha, and he is the expansion of Bhagavan, and he is different from the four-headed Brahma. This Hiranyagarbha is the seed principle of each of the Brahmas in all the unlimited universes. So where does one have darshan of Hiranyagarbha? Hiranyagarbha is present within Brahmaji in the seed form. He is the active principle behind Brahmaji. Brahmaji has the power of Bhagavan for creation. So Hiranyagarbha, who is Vishnu, is present within Brahmaji to give him this power of creation. So this Hiranyagarbha that is being described here, Prajapati, by the name Prajapati, is the seed principle for each of the Brahmas in all of the unlimited universe. So every Brahma is different. Remember that Brahmaji went to Dwarka once, and he said to the doorkeeper, "Oh, I have come to see Sri Krishna." And so the doorkeeper went, and the Krishna told him, Dwarkadish told the doorkeeper, "Ask Brahma, which Brahma is he?" And so the doorkeeper came and said, "Oh, my dear Brahma, my Dwarkadish is asking, which Brahma are you?" Brahma was very perplexed. He said, "I am the Brahma with four heads, who is the father of the four Kumaras." And so he went and told Krishna, and then Krishna sent him, "Okay, now bring him in." When Brahmaji came, he bowed down and he said, "Oh, my dear Lord Dwarkadish, I am very happy to see you." And Krishna said, "Oh, Brahma, I am so happy to see you. How is everything going? How is the universe going under your management?" Brahmaji said, "By your grace, everything is going well. But I am curious about something. When I came, you asked which Brahma. Is there more than one Brahma?" And then Krishna smiled, and immediately this darshan room, the throne room of the palace in Dwarka, was filled with Brahmas. Some had 10 heads, some had 100 heads, some had 10,000 heads, some had 10 million heads. And they all began to bow down, and the clattering of their helmets touching the floor was deafening. But they could not see each other. They were only seeing Sri Krishna, Dwarkadish. Also, unlimited Shivas came and Indras, and they were all bowing down. Brahmaji felt very insignificant, like a rabbit amidst a herd of elephants. Because according to how big the universe is, that is how many heads Brahmaji will have. So four-headed Brahma is ruling over our universe, which is very insignificant. It is like Alachua compared to New York City, so we are like a very small town, Alachua or even Gainesville, very small town compared to big city. So Brahmaji here is a has gotten his power from Hiranyagarbha. So Hiranyagarbha is for all Brahmas in all universes the seed principle of creation, Prajapati. And he has come from Mahavishnu. Jyotirlingamayam Shambhu refers to the Shambhu who is the immensely qualified manifestation of the fundamental principle of procreation in the form of the original male generative capacity or linga. So what does this mean? So Shambhu, now we are talking about primary creation. There are 10 topics in the Mahapuranas. One of them is Srishti. So this is all Srishti. And then there is Sarga and Visarga. So this is Sarga, and Visarga is the secondary creation. In the primary creation, Shambhu is present as the Purusha, along with Prakriti. And Purusha and Prakriti together have come from Bhagavan. Prakriti is Bhagavan's energy, external energy, and the Purusha is manifested as Shambhu. And the Linga is the form of the male generative capacity. In other words, how the aggregate of living entities have come and how the Purusha and Prakriti are united. This is the substance of Sankhya philosophy. So Sankhya philosophy is described in Srimad Bhagavatam as well as in various other places. It is described briefly in the second canto. It is described also in more depth in the third canto in the teachings of Devahuti Putra Kapiladev. But it begins from Purusha and Prakriti. Now, there is also an atheistic Sankhya philosophy, which is not authorized, which tries to say that Purusha and Prakriti are some abstract thing, but they actually are coming from Bhagavan Vishnu, both as the as the transformed Vishnu as Shambhu, and the external energy as the Prakriti. So Sri Vishnu is Mahavishnu's personal expansion and is therefore in the category of the Supreme Ishvara. Prajapati and Shambhu are both Mahavishnu's separated expansions and are thus demigods who have been invested with special authority. So when we talk about Brahmaji, we are giving respect not just to Brahmaji as the most highly qualified living entity who is capable of creation. We are also giving respect to Prajapati, who is the expansion of Mahavishnu. And Shankarji is not just the greatest of Vaishnavas, but he is also a manifestation of this expansion of Mahavishnu. So it is a difficult tattva to understand, how to understand Shambhu tattva. So they have been invested with special authority. Brahmaya Esha Jagadanda Vidhana Karta. This is also described in Brahma Samhita later. Just as the light of the sun is manifested within gems such as Suryakant, so the creative power of Bhagavan Vishnu is manifested within Brahma, who is empowered to create the universe. Since his potency resides in his left side, it is from the transcendental potency of pure spiritual existence in Mahavishnu's left limb that Vishnu emerges. Thus, Vishnu appears from the pure spiritual existence of Bhagavan. So basically, why Vishnu comes, this is the answer to the question, why does Vishnu come from the left side of Mahavishnu? Because Vishnu is manifest only from the pure spiritual potency. Vishnu has nothing to do with the business of creation. He is separate. He is the maintainer, but he is manifested from the spiritual potency. He is one of the three Purusha avatars. Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and Kshirodakshai Vishnu. They are also called the Purusha avatars. As Ishwar, Vishnu is the supersoul, Paramatma, or indwelling witness of every living entity. In the Vedas, he has been called the thumb-sized predominator. He is the maintainer. Those who perform fruitive activities worship him as Yageshwar Narayana, the Lord of sacrifice, while the yogis desire to attain the state of trance by meditating upon him. So you know that verse, Dhyana vastatadgatena manasa pashyanti yam yoginaha. That person is Bhagavan Vishnu. Now, why it said he is about the size of the thumb? This is from the Rig Veda. Atyatishta dashangulam. He is about 10 angulas. Angula is the width of the finger, approximately. So about this high, not more than about this high. So this is approximately the maximum dimension of Paramatma. But Paramatma is in a form which we cannot perceive materially. We can only perceive Paramatma by his presence within the heart. Paramatma within our heart may not be this full size of 10 angulas, but Paramatma within our heart may be much smaller. But if we are cautious, if we are attentive, if we are desperate, we may hear the voice of Paramatma. Paramatma may be whispering to us, don't do this. This will not be auspicious for you. You were meant to be in this human form of life. You were meant to do bhajan. You were meant to associate with devotees. You should take up this business of doing Nama Sankirtana. So Paramatma is present within us and throughout the universe in this form which is not exceeding 10 angulas. So now let us move on to verse 16. Ahankaratmakam vishvam tasmadetadvyajayata. The world of false ego has been born from Shambhu. This is his function in relation to the living entities. Now, this is a very interesting topic, and this is the last of the 3 verses that we'll discuss today. So, the Tika by Srila Jiva Goswami. Another function of Shambhu is being described here. He is called the original form of false ego because this world of false ego was born from him. Thus, Shambhu is the presiding deity of false ego. For example, it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:26-24, the unmanifest aggregate material energy originates from Bhagavan's spiritual potency, and it transforms into 3 types of false ego, which were imbued with the potency for activity at the time of creation. The mind, the senses, and the life heirs are born from these 3 modifications of false ego, namely, false ego in goodness, false ego in passion, and false ego in the mode of ignorance. So this is described in Sankhya philosophy in the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So the mind arises from ahankar in sattvagun. Why does the mind arise from ahankar in sattvagun? Because the natural state of the mind is to be balanced. If the mind is in a pure state, the mind is balanced. It is not frantic and looking for sense gratification. It is able to be meditating upon Vishnu, Vasudev. Vasudev is described as the person who can be realized while one is in the state of pure goodness, uncontaminated by passion and ignorance. In other words, in the perfectly pure and balanced state of the mind. The mode of ahankar in the mode of passion gives rise to the intelligence and the life heirs. And then ahankar in the mode of ignorance gives rise to the senses and the sense objects. So Shambhu is called the presiding deity of all false ego. Learned authorities have also called him Anantadev. He is also the cause of matter, the senses, and the mind. Again, there is the reference to Anantadev and Shambhu as a manifestation or expansion of Vishnu. It is also described that Shankarji, who is a manifestation of Shambhu, is always meditating upon the lotus feet of Lord Anantadev. Now, Anantadev has come from Sankarshan. He becomes the bed, the slippers, the umbrella of Bhagavan Vishnu. So this is a little difficult to understand, but let us for a moment talk about the principle of ahankar. Why ahankar is the first thing that is created. Because the jivatma is pure and spiritual. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetragya Tata Para. What does it mean? Kshetragya is the knower of the field. The field is the body and the senses. And the knower of the field is the Kshetragya, the living entity. It is superior. It is superior spiritual energy. But because of being minute, it is possible for the superior energy jivatma to become covered by maya. Therefore, ahankar is this kind of glue that is needed that allows the spiritual spark of the jivatma to identify with matter. So what is the identification process? We've all heard of the monkey trap. How does a monkey trap work? Well, the farmer has a monkey that's giving him a hard time. the monkey is stealing the mangoes from his very nice mango tree. People will guard their best mango trees vigilantly and even stay up all night with a stick to keep away monkeys and thieves. But the monkey is coming, and so the farmer has devised a trap. He has a jar shaped like this with a narrow neck and a big body, and within it, he has put a piece of very nice ripe fruit. And the monkey comes, and there is a chain around the pot, so it cannot go away from the tree. The monkey will come, and it sees the fruit inside, and it thinks, oh, I'm going to take this fruit. It reaches its hand inside, and it grabs the fruit. But it cannot pull its hand out while it's holding on to the fruit. Why? Because now its fist has become bigger holding on to the fruit. But the monkey is stubborn. It won't let go of the fruit. And so it is very angry and chattering, but it is trapped. And then the farmer can come and capture the monkey easily. Um, so this ahankar works like that monkey trap because the jivatma identifies with matter. I am this body. I am beautiful. I am tall. I am short. I am thin. I am fat. I am man. I am woman. I am American. I am Indian. I am white. I am black. I am Chinese. I am Japanese. I am Indian, American, European, anything. I am, and I am the doer. I am a mother. I am a father. I am a software engineer. I am this or that or the other thing. It is all false ego, ahankar. And because of this, we are like the monkey in the trap. We are clinging to this identification. This is the only way that the pure jivatma can be connected in this world. And then all the other layers are wrapped around the ahankar, the mind, intelligence. They are all working along with the ego in terms of consciousness, but in terms of the layers, the ego is like that first glue that is binding the pure spiritual atma and covering, and then all of the other coverings are attached. So Tatparya of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. The original form of pure existence in its transcendental constitutional state has no sense of self-conception separate from the Supreme Person Bhagavan. In other words, this is Chaitanya, this is the concept, Jiver Swarup Hoy Krishna Nitya Das. I am Krishna Nitya Das. I am the eternal servant of the Supreme Person. In whatever rasa one is serving, the idea is to please the transcendental senses of Sri Krishna. No self-conception separate from Bhagavan. Some people nowadays, they think it is possible that the living entity who was with Bhagavan in the spiritual world in Goloka Vrindavan could have wanted to explore being separate. But there is no such thing. It is an illusion. Even in this world, this energy we are surrounded with, it is all Bhagavan's energy. So it's not actually possible to be separate. It's only in our minds, only in our consciousness that we think we can be separate. So it is not possible for associates of Bhagavan to give up being with Bhagavan because it's not possible to give up being with Bhagavan. Only the illusion of being separate is possible in this world because of ahankar. The symbol of separate self-conception, or the separate existence that emerges in this material world, is exemplified by the male generative capacity. This is a mundane reflection of the original pure spiritual existence. This linga, the emblem of the male generative capacity, is Adi Shambhu. He unites with the receptive principle, which is a transformation of Rama Devi in the form of the yoni, or womb of material existence. So this is referring to the process of primary creation, how Adi Shambhu is the Purusha, who comes together with Prakriti in the Chaya Shakti, the transformation of Rama Devi in the form of the material energy, who is represented by Durgaji. At this time, Shambhu is the material cause by dint of supplying the raw material substances for creation. When each universe is manifest from the gradual evolution of this state of existence, the Rudra, or destructive principle, emerges from the existence of Shambhu. Although born from between the eyebrows of the Purusha avatar Mahavishnu, Shambhu remains as the epitome of false ego in all conditions. So Shambhu is understood to be the predominating deity of Tamogun and of Ahankar. And therefore, those who are on an impersonal path, they sometimes will worship Shankarji as Shambhu, requesting him to annihilate and destroy the false ego. The problem is that aruhya kritrena param padam tataha padantyado nada de yushmadangreya. Unless we replace the false ego with the actual concept of I am Krishna Das, I am Nitya Krishna Das, it is not possible to get out of this material world. One can float around in Mahakalapur, in the Brahma Jyoti, and then one will come back down to this world because the intelligence is impure, as Brahmaji has said in Srimad Bhagavatam. An unlimited number of atomic conscious particles emerge from the spiritual rays of Paramatma as the aggregate of the living entities. When they identify themselves as the servants of Bhagavan, they are of Vaikuntha and have no relationship with the world of Maya. When the living entity forgets this pure identity, he desires to become the enjoyer of Maya. And the false ego principle of Shambhu then enters his existence and produces within him the self-conception of being a separate enjoyer. Therefore, Shambhu alone is the principle underlying the world of false ego and the identification of the living entities with their material bodies. So that is basically the root cause of our material existence, because the living entity has an innate sense of being connected with Bhagavan. And by that innate sense, some of the pure spiritual entities will migrate towards the light side, and some of them will uh, become forgetful, and they will be attracted to the illusory, dark material existence. And then false ego will enter their existence. This is not the liberated living entity. This is the living entity who has emerged in the Tatastha region between the material and spiritual existence. And they have to go one way or the other. Some are going to this side, to the dark side of the material world. And then they become covered by the false ego and they begin their plunge into the depths of material existence. So Shambhu is the principle underlying false ego. So Shambhu is involved in the primary creation of this world, has the expansion of Rudra, who is the destroyer, has his uh, appearance, his expansion as Shiva, who enters this universe as Shankara and is known as the best of Vaishnavas, and is also the predominating deity of Ahankar, or false ego. So this is all being done by Bhagavan through his expansion of Shambhu. So that is a lot of tattva to cover today. So this is a good place to stop. Any questions, you can put it in the chat or you can unmute and ask. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama,
Haribo.
Rama Rama Hare Hare. Yes, Didi.
Haribo, don't know about pronounce. I don't really have any questions, but it does make it a little more clear, all the understanding you provided today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, we hear these things, and this is just one of the topics that we want to know. We should know. We should know how we've gotten wrapped up in this material world, even though the process is by doing, Harinam Sankirtan, by chanting, hearing, remembering, doing the 9 angas of bhakti in the association of sadhus under the guidance of bona fide guru. But still, we should understand this is important. All right, well, let's end there. Hare Krishna, Gaura Haribol.
Hare Krishna, Gaur Haribo. Thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Pranams.